basically we know, right, why it is required, right, to have an image, right, stored in registry. So can anyone tell me the purpose of right, having this container registries? So where you will use, right, this container registries? Hello.
When we want to resolve our dependency, then we can use this image.
What dependencies, like? So I will give you certain examples. There are various, right, places, right, where you will need this kind of repository. We know, right, for code there's a different repository. We called it, right, code versioning system or source code management, right, tools which have their own repositories. They have their own server where you actually keep your code, and when you need it, right. Okay, so I was telling that there are several right, repositories that we are aware of. Like there is a code repository, right? There's the application repository, right? Artifact servers, basically, right? If I want to say application repository. Similarly, this container registry have their own different use cases. For example, at the time of build phase, and when you are, right, writing your continuous integration, obviously you will integrate. Hello, I am audible, right? Still
Yes,
same thing.
Deepak, you're audible.
Thank you. So we see, right, we generally, right, integrate with some code repository, fetch our code, but somewhere, someplace we need to build it, right? And in general case, if we see, right, we have used Jenkins server, right, as a place, right, where we are building or running our build commands like Maven execution or any build tool command execution. We will use certain place to execute it. Similarly way, right, if you see Jenkins pipeline also demands that, right, we need an agent to run our basically build activity. So you can choose, right, cut that context again. So I was saying, right, the use case of this registry, and there is a reason behind, right, I am right, talking about it, and I was right, placing this, right, use case, right, of registry in one of, or you can say container registry in one of the scenario, where in Jenkins pipeline, right, generally you need, right, some space to build it, and we were using Jenkins. Similarly, we can define an agent, if you remember, right, in Jenkins there is something called agent. In agent we define, right, what Docker container or what container we want to use to run our build activities. Maybe, right, our one of the stages want to run in particular, right, container which is, right, there in the Docker registry. So obviously we are actually storing kind of a pre-baked, or you can say kind of a, right, OS platform in which I can run my intended command, or I can use to do certain build activities. Now, if you can compare other use cases, for example, in other continuous integration, if you are dealing with AWS code pipeline, so after code commit there are phases like, right, code build and code deploy. So this code build and code deploy also uses, right, certain space where they want to, right, run their basically workload or in terms of build activity. So they might use one of the image, or right, container, or right, a registry from their image, like ECR, like Elastic Container Registry. So obviously this is again, right, a container registry where you're storing container. Similarly, every cloud, right, will have their own registry. This is one use case. Now, second use case, right, in terms of deployment. So we had said that Docker makes or made deployment easy, right? How it made deployment easy? Can anyone would try to answer that? If I say, right, Docker made deployment easy, so how you will justify that? Go ahead, anyone.
So it will automate all the things. Yeah, means it will automatically create a image, and based on that create a containers, and also managing those containers using Swarm and Kubernetes.
So that is the container management. But in terms of, right, deployment, generally what challenges we see, right? Example, if a developer, right, is building, right, a software or a product, right, he would be working on certain environment, right, of his choice, and the environment would not be as similar as what, right, actually is going to be in production. So he would be using a different platform for building or compiling his code, right? He's setting different set of variable in his own context of environment to run right his software and verify it. Similar way, test environment would be different than right developers environment and right production environment. And tester would to make run right would be making right as per appropriate definition of their variables right in their environment as per they are running right. And in way right you are not entirely confirmed right with what configuration right it would run perfectly in production. So obviously a lot of right if and buts questions would be there. You have to create run books right as a developer that this and these are the important configuration which need to be changed as per the production environment right. All this right need to be taken care when you are right doing right an earlier approach without using right containers or without using a microservices approach. This kind of challenges right would always be there. Now Docker does what? Docker contains right each and every information from the first time that you are right building your product. So whatever you're building your product right, your container right which is containing is the same thing right which will go right in test environment, which will go into production environment. And how you do that movement? You do that movement using this container registry. So obviously if you are creating an image, you will keep right in certain registry. So a tester will not take from developers right laptop. He will take from the registry right what has been right tagged and shipped right by a developer after right working on it. Tester will right take it and right validate it if that right actually right is a proper developed right container with the workload or application right which is running in it. Once you verify it the same right container right which is maybe right tagged as tested or whatever version right container or image I would say rather right that image again right will be shipped back to right registry and right that is actually tested and verified, and you can right use it for container orchestration using any container management platform tool. So this is where this container registry right comes in picture, and we should know how to right use them or integrate them, and we should have some awareness in terms right how you are connecting right to a particular registry. Typical example I would give here, we are learning what we are learning right to connect to Docker Hub. Now see if you're working on AWS ECR. So obviously behind the scene you are doing what? Same Docker login, right? Maybe you're using AWS wrapper command like ECR login, but behind the scene that ECR is also calling what Docker login to a particular right registry with the credentials. And once your credentials is authenticated, now you can interact with Docker registry right to do pull push right and whatever right tagging activities related to management of your tag into the registry. I hope you understand right the use case why we have right container registries. Any question on this? समझ में आया कि नहीं समझा? हेलो
मीन्स दीपक मीन्स हम डॉकर से डिप्लॉयमेंट क्यों इजी होता है ये अगर आप बोल रहे हो तो इट मीन्स सपोज एक बंदा एक डेवलपर है उसने कुछ कोड डेवलप किया है और उसने एक अलग प्लेटफॉर्म यूज किया है और उसको वो डिप्लॉय करना चाहता है, बट डिप्लॉय से पहले उसको टेस्ट करना चाहता है क्योंकि जहाँ के टेस्टर का जो प्लेटफॉर्म है वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर टोटली डिफरेंट है, राइट?
हाँ मतलब अगर पुराना अप्रोच देखो तो राइट दे आर नॉट सेम राइट. So developer would have right created his operating system say in Windows platform, and
Yeah.
tester right is testing in Unix right platform in one of the servers right. So obviously wherever they are right installing the software is different, and as per that a different kind of configuration is required. But if developer at the starting of the right developing use right same platform right which will be shipped across, because until unless you are doing right on a base image right in your container which would be right an OS platform which will be common across all the environment, whether you are using your Docker image right on Windows platform or your Docker right image same image in a Unix platform, at the end you are using the same image right which has been used by a developer. So that is what I'm saying in context of right how in terms of right the questions like my environment is different, ये कोड मेरे यहाँ चल रहा है आपके वहाँ नहीं चल रहा है, ऐसा जो क्वेश्चन है वो पूरा का पूरा वाइड हो जाता है राइट, आ नहीं सकता इन केस व्हेन यू आर यूजिंग डॉकर. सो दिस इज राइट इन अ वे राइट इट मेक इजी, बट ऑब्वियसली ऐसा तो नहीं है कि डेवलपर अपना इमेज क्रिएट करके अपने सिस्टम पे रखेगा और आपको बोलेगा मेरे सिस्टम से कॉपी कर लो या एससीपी कर लो. रेदर देन देयर शुड बी अ प्रॉपर अप्रोच राइट वेयर आई विल कीप माय राइट वर्जन इमेज इन सम रिपोजिटरी ऑफ कंटेनर्स, जहाँ पे हम कंटेनर्स को मैनेज करते हैं, ठीक है। तो entire context is around that, and that's where, right, this container registry are helpful in terms of doing some deployment activities, build activities, right, certain kind of other activities in which in the automation where you will use container registry. This is what I want to pass.
Yes, Deepak.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Now I don't know. Okay, so let's go ahead with, right, today's session. I see Parag, you have joined with 2 devices. Parag, you there? Hello. Parag, if you're unmute, can you please speak up? Just give me 1 minute. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the lab. I'm sharing my screen, guys. My screen is visible to everyone?
Yes, visible.
Perfect. Okay, let me go to my documents. Okay, this is the lab that we are going to do. Okay, meanwhile, let's, right, connect to our AWS EC2 instance also. Yeah, please go ahead. If someone is asking something, go ahead.
Docker registry should be stateful or stateless, because अगर
What?
जैसे कुछ upload
Can you come again somewhere, right? I missed you, Rajiv, I think. Can you come back again?
जो डॉकर रजिस्ट्री है, अगर उसमें हम कंटेनर अपना रख रहे हैं तो वो स्टेटलेस और स्टेटफुल ऐसे आर्किटेक्चर मतलब यूज.
So basically, I would say it is, right, stateless in a nature. Why I'm saying that, right? So you can allow and deny, right, to a certain context. Okay.
Okay.
Well, it is permissive, right? And when it is permissive, right, you can basically right, those who will get authenticated to a particular registry can download, right, and those who are not, right, for that particular image, they will not able to, right, download that image. So I'm talking in terms of accessibility.
But it is open source, so but need to get authentication.
Yes, for example, open source is fine, right? A lot of images are open source, but if you say, if you are working on a organization and you're working on a product, you will not want it to be, right, open source, whatever you are containerizing for your organization. True?
Yes.
Small x है. क्या है बीच में, क्या है ये P के और W के बीच में T है क्या?
T या L लग रहा है.
बहुत ही कंफ्यूज.
L.
L है क्या? कैपिटल L?
हाँ.
चलो ठीक है, मैं तुम पे भरोसा कर रहा हूँ.
8 रह गए.
डाला मैंने?
नहीं करेक्ट है, डाला.
Ouch.
T है.
This is the funniest. What happened?
दीपक फिर है ना डॉकर रजिस्ट्री स्टेटफुल.
बेसिकली अगर ऐसा देखा जाए तो आप उसको स्टेटफुल बोलोगे, बट परमिसिव नेचर इज, राइट, स्टेटलेस. ओके,
Okay. Okay.
अगर मैं Ubuntu इमेज की बात करूं, राइट, या दूसरे इमेज की बात करूं, तो ऑब्वियसली वो
एक
stateful है।
क्वेश्चन,
हाँ बोलो।
Okay.
एक क्वेश्चन और था एक्चुअली, हाँ इससे नहीं था, लेकिन जैसे आपने AWS लैम्बडा पढ़ाया था, राइट?
हाँ हाँ,
तो दैट इज आल्सो स्टेटलेस।
सर्वरलेस नॉट स्टेटलेस।
ओके ओके।
स्टेटलेस
बट
देखो, स्टेटलेस मैंने आपको बताया था, अगर आप देखोगे तो सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप और नेकल के कंटेक्स्ट पे, राइट, और देयर आर एप्लीकेशन व्हिच कुड बी राइट स्टेटलेस एंड राइट स्टेटफुल। अब जैसे कि अगर आप नेकल और सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप का बात करें, तो हमने क्यों बोला था कि जो सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप है वो स्टेटफुल है और जो नेकल है वो स्टेटलेस है? क्यों बोला था? क्योंकि हमने बोला था नेकल में क्या कर सकते हैं हम, इनग्रेस और इग्रेस राइट अलाउ डिनाई कर सकते हैं। अगर मैंने 80 पोर्ट पे अलाउ किया है इनकमिंग ट्रैफिक, तो मैं आउटगोइंग ट्रैफिक 80 पे डिनाई कर सकता हूँ इन केस ऑफ नेकल, एंड देयरफॉर इट इज व्हाट, स्टेटलेस। गॉट माय पॉइंट? स्टेटफुल में क्या, अगर
यस
मैंने इनबाउंड में डाला तो आउटबाउंड भी अलाउड हो गया, करेक्ट?
यस।
तो ये क्या हो गया, स्टेटफुल नेचर हो गया। नाउ कमिंग टू एप्लीकेशन डेफिनेशन, व्हाट आर स्टेटलेस एप्लीकेशन एंड राइट बेसिकली stateful application? Application right in which right if you're using some database and there is no persistency right maintained, right, for example if you're using cache or memory memcache databases, right, obviously once your cache removed, right, you will not able to access or right log in right to your instance if you're using that mem cache right for login purpose. वो अगर flash हो गया तो obviously right you will lose something, right, you will lose some data right which you want basically. So persistency right is not there and you have to create persistency right in cases. So उस तरह के application जहाँ पे हम right you can say right cache databases use करते हैं जहाँ पे हम data persistent नहीं रख सकते, तो वो हमारा हो जाएगा क्या, इसका नेचर क्या हो जाएगा, स्टेटलेस। और स्टेटफुल एप्लीकेशन क्या होगा, जहाँ पे परसिस्टेंसी है। जैसे अगर मैंने MySQL पे अपना लॉगिन ऑथेंटिकेशन के डिटेल्स रखे, जब भी मैं लॉगिन करता हूँ वो जाता है उस
Deepak,
डाटाबेस।
someone is trying to log in.
ओके, लेट मी चेक हु इज,
I think Parag.
बट आई डोंट सी राइट Parag in waiting. He is putting in right WhatsApp.
Yeah, he is putting WhatsApp. Actually, he told that कि उसको होस्ट ने निकाल दिया है मीटिंग में
हाँ,
से.
मैं भी उसको मैंने पूछा था, इसीलिए वो दो दो डिवाइसेस से थे, he should have spoken up. Just let me. Okay. Okay, I have suggested him to joining with a different name. Okay, let's go ahead. So I have been logged in, right, and copy this IP. Control T. Opened CD downloads. Okay. तो अभी हम लोग क्या करने वाले, हम बेसिकली एज पर आवर लैब हम एक Ubuntu कंटेनर लॉन्च करेंगे. द स्टेप्स आर वेरी इजी. वी आर गोइंग टू मॉडिफाई आवर कंटेनर एंड we will not be using docker file. We know right through docker file also we can automate and create image, but we will be using some command called docker commit, right, to basically commit right our image, commit our container to convert it into image. I'm audible, guys, right? Is it? Hello?
Yes, Deepak.
So I am not able to log in to the server. There's some issue with AWS or what? Why it has issues like elastic IP address and all that. आज पता नहीं क्या है.
I think internet
कुछ तो है. आज अभी though I am connected with Geo, not with my broadband. My broadband was fluctuating a lot today. Let me. ये तो सही लिया ना मैंने. Maybe there's some problem with the host. Let's check the status check is also good. Let me do one thing. We'll stop the instances. Okay, and then restart only Docker. Is my internet too slow? Let it stop. Meanwhile, I will walk you through the document. So, yeah. So if you summarize this step, basically what we are going to do, what we have done already, right? For example, only thing that you have to create an account in hub.docker.com. So you should, right, for this lab should create one account in hub.docker.com. And then we have to basically create a image, download an image, and create a container, and then we are going to make some changes in that container using our docker exec command, and we will be creating certain folder, something maybe we are changing our container. And once our container has been modified, I come out, and then I will do what, I will commit that container id. This is the important thing, right? And while committing this container ID, we will give a name, to our image that we want to create. So general practice is what, to use your account name, right? Slash whatever the name of image that you should give, right? So account name is what, your Docker Hub account name, or whatever through which you are logging, right? That account name. So basically this way, we will be able to create an image, and then we will again to check that the image is created or not, we will use that image to create a container and check whatever directory we have created is there or not. So it means commit creates an image, modified container, a running container में आपने क्या क्या modification जो किया उसको आपने नया नाम दिया. Same thing what we have done using an automated way, docker file में हम लोग करते हैं, वैसे हम ये step करके भी एक change modified container को commit करके image बना सकते हैं. And after creating that image, whatever image, either आप docker build से बनाओ या इस तरीके से बनाओ, उसके बाद उसको कहाँ लेके जाना है, अपने को docker hub में लेके जाना है. तो docker hub में लेके जाने के लिए obviously we need what, first we have to log in, with the username from the command line. Once your login is successful, then you can do what, docker push. And docker push करके obviously हमें कहाँ दिखना चाहिए, हमें दिखना चाहिए हमारे जो भी hub.docker अकाउंट है उसमें दिखना चाहिए हमारा इमेज आया है. एंड टू वेरीफाई दैट वेदर यू कैन पुल इट फ्रॉम docker hub or not, clean everything from your installation, the docker where you have, clean everything, and try to pull that particular image that you have shipped into docker hub, and you will be able to pull your own image rather than an open source image. Okay, so this is how it's similar to like through github.com you are fetching your code. Similar way you are fetching your you can say container, right, from that repository. Few things, right, organization, right, may use enterprise Docker Hub account with more features. They also have a capability of integrating, right, Git with Docker Hub. Or right, you can also use a different way, right, of right creating your own registry servers in which you can keep your containers and right download them from there, because at the end, right, it is something compressed, right, object, right, which can be tagged, renamed, right. So this all you have to keep in mind, a very logical, right, thing, right, a registry of what, images. That's it. So let's do it. Hope my machine has been stopped and Docker is not stopped. It is taking time. In हमारे Docker में कुछ issue था. Let's see. Meanwhile, I will log into dockerhub.com also.
What is the difference between run and exec?
Run and didn't get you.
Exec.
In what context?
That is execute का exec जो exec रहता है ना वो.
Exec, okay, exec, okay. So basically, run is something, right, to make or orchestrate, basically in a way, right, to an image, right, which is what kind of, it's a kind of an image artifact, and to create a container, basically, right, you use run command from an image. Okay, so it is something like in VMware you choose, right, your image and then say, right, I want to, right, start an operating system, right, from that image. That is what run does. Exec is basically getting inside that running container. Okay, you got my point?
Yeah.
Vishal? So
Yes, yes.
exec is not creating a container. Exec is going inside a running container or a container which is in upstate. Okay, so let me sign in my account to show you a few things. Meanwhile, our server is coming up. My net is really slow today. Let me see to switch back to my. So there would be a small blip, guys. So I'm trying to switch to my broadband. Hmm. Hello, I am there.
Yes, Deepak.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. I have switched to my broadband. So this is right the login page, right, and this is my user ID, and I hope I remember my password. My God. So let me don't save it. And I will use different. Mhm. Finally, right. Out of 3 retries, one was successful. Okay, so I'm logged in into my right Docker Hub account, and if you see, right, this all right images that I had, right, post to this Docker Hub, and obviously I have this repository section through which I can go and right look into whatever my repository, and this is my account name, and as per my account name, right, my repository is there. Inside that I generally dump my right images. These are already shipped images that I had right modified and converted and created right during doing some lab. Okay, and if I go to one of the image, you can see it has all its details, like what tag it contains, right, what size, compressed size of it is, what command should be used to right pull locally, right, in your system instance, right, without authenticating it will not allow you, right, with my credentials. So this is how, right, it will be generally used. Okay, now I'm going to see this time. Hopefully, my internet is broadband and there is no running instance, means everything is stopped. I will start this. pending state. Get an IP in a while. Yeah, it has come in running state. Got the IP. God, I was logged in. It was, I think, internet speed, right? Okay, it will take some time. It has to come up. Okay, I'm logged in now. Let's see Docker PS command is working or not. It's working. So it is, I think I would have something in exit state. Yeah, yesterday's lab. And I would have Docker some images also, right? So I will clean up everything for this lab. So Docker RM. So now I'm in a clean state in a way. So everything what I had, right, has been removed. So first of all, I see Docker images and then Docker PS minus QA. Right, I'm clean. Okay, now we will be using the same steps that we are we're performing right earlier. So I will bring an image, right, which is an open source image over which I will create my own application, right? So certain example that I'm giving. So let's say Docker exec, not Docker exec. It should be Docker run, and then Docker run minus D Ubuntu. Okay, so we are running it in a background mode. Okay, now if I see Docker images, we have Docker that image running, and then we have Docker PS. So what happened? Oh, why we have no running image? Come on, pull किया Docker run minus D Ubuntu. Okay, exit state में चला गया लगता है. Yep. My bad. What I'm doing. So background mode पे run करना था मुझे. Let me do one thing. Docker PS, Docker run minus D minus IT, Docker PS minus A. This is an up state. Let me remove Docker RMI in next state one. What happened? My bad. I am not in a good state today. Okay, so Docker PS. Okay, now it is an upstate. Now I will get inside this, right, festive Heinsberg container. So I will do Docker exec minus I T. Okay, and then right, what I will do, go to this container and go inside it. I will see what files we have. Let's do something interesting, like let's do right apt update, and then let's try to have Apache installed inside it if it allows us, right? So apt install which is not there, right? If we see systemctl status Apache 2, it's not there, right? Even the systemctl command is not there.
Yeah,
So,
in service we can use that.
Service Apache 2 status. So Apache 2 is not there, right? So let's install it, right? So apt install Apache 2 -y. Okay, I want to create it in Asia. So where is Delhi? Delhi 23. So it is DILI Delhi?
Yeah.
Come on. Okay, now right, we have right Apache 2 right installed. If we say, I don't think PS would be there, but let's see PSAUX. Crap. So we have done that service not running, and let's bring that service up here, right? Service Apache 2 start. And we can see using PSAUX. Now in this image, right, we had created a web server Apache 2 image, right, which is right, we had modified it, right? And let's exit from it. Okay, and then right, log in back again and check the process again, right? So obviously this is process running, so right, it is an up state, so it's a modified image. पहले कुछ भी नहीं था, Apache नहीं था, मैंने इस पे Apache डाला. अब मैं इसको क्या करने वाला हूँ? Docker commit, right, as per the command that we have, right? So we'll copy that command. लिख ही लेता मैं. Okay, and then what I want to commit, which container ID? This container ID, right? Or the name of the container, whatever you want to use. Okay, festive hasn't worked, right? So this is how, right, you can use it. I will use this container ID name. My bad. Paste, and then right, we can do what? We can use our account name, in which right we are going to put, and give the name. So say Deepak's Apache. Okay. This is say my image name, Deepak's Apache. Okay. And I'm committing. So this image has been created. Okay, and if I do Docker images, now I can see, right, this image has been created now. Now I will try to run this image and see, right, whether Apache is there or not running, right? So Docker run -it. Okay, and this is what my image name. So I will now run this image to check, right, the modification is there or not. Okay, and if I do PSAUX grab Apache, so service is not there. Okay, बैकग्राउंड में रन करना था. ओके, यहाँ पे देखते हैं Apache है कि नहीं, राइट? सर्विस Apache 2 status. Apache 2 is not running, means Apache 2 is installed, right? It means modification is there. Okay, since obviously we are creating an image, obviously that service, right, which is an on orchestrated state, would not be there, right, in that way. And it is not running, we can start it. But if you remember, Ubuntu do not have by default Apache 2 installed, right? And it is there in my image. It means that is the same modification image.
Yeah.
Another thing, right, I didn't run in the background mode. Obviously, if I exit, right, what will happen? That container will, right, get into exited state. So if I now docker ps minus a, you can see, right, this is the image, right, this is the image that I used to launch cranky cover, right, in which we logged in, right, and we see what happened. Basically the Apache was installed. Now I have my image, right, with right Apache in it. So anyone, right, who will pull want to, right, have want to use an Apache 2 web server image can use this image, right, but I want, right, everyone to use from my registry, right, should able to, right, log into Docker Hub and fetch this particular image, right. He should have an access, right, to that. So now I'm trying to push my image. Pushing image is, right, required what, doing a Docker login, right. So I will do Docker login with my username to to set. So it will ask my password also. Okay. So login is succeeded, means that now I can, right, communicate with, right, hubdocker.com, right? And now it's time to push. Okay, so now I will do Docker push, right, my image name. So it was what, Deepak Sapache or Deepak Sapache, yeah, Deepak Sapache. Okay, now this is what, right, I have to write type and write execute, and it will, right, basically since I'm, right, logged in, it will push, right, to my repository. So now see, it is working, right, it's pushing the image, right, 142 size ka hai ye, and see, it is taking time, right. So obviously the bigger your image size is, right, the greater the deployment time would be, right. So you will always try to have very, right, light images in terms of, right, doing deployments, right, and you do your workloads later, right, using Dockerfile or something. So this is what is suggested. Now I have, right, pushed that image. I can go to my browser now. So obviously it will not directly reflect, right. I have to, right, do some refresh. अभी यहाँ पे आपको कहीं दिख रहा है दीपक अपाचे, नहीं दिख रहा है, right. अभी मैं यहाँ पे रिफ्रेश करूंगा तो हार्ड रिफ्रेश चाहिए रहता है कई बार इसको. तो यहाँ पे क्या है, दीपक अपाचे दिख रहा है, right, few seconds ago, right, it has come here. And right, I can use, right, this command basically, right, with the tag name, what it's saying, right, basically to push somewhere. But if I want to see, right, the tags related to it is basically, right, a latest tag, and this is, right, compressed size is 82.MB, and this is how, right, someone can pull this particular image to use it, right. And now I will do what, I will clean up everything now again, right. So first rm.
Just one question.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, when we are hitting that docker push command,
Mm-hmm.
so already we are in that user Deepak 2717. So
Correct.
we need to put every time username after that image name, or we can directly put that image.
See, basically, if your organization, right, you are part of, right, you can say console, which is within the same, right, network, and you are logged in with your SAML, right. Maybe you don't need, you can simply do Docker login, and you will get logged in, right. Whatever authentication or session that you have. Okay.
Yes.
But if you are, right, logging to a specific, right, user, right, obviously you have to use this username. Okay, so there would be some headless user, right, through which you have to, right, put or place your, right, images. So you have at that time to specify username.
Okay, so
generally,
there can be,
yeah, so there are ways like, right, passing AWS access credential with Docker login, right, to get into, right, ECR. So your ECR, to access ECR, you need what, access key ID, secret key ID, correct. That session should be there, right, and through that you can generate, right, a particular session credentials, and you have to pass it, right. Yeah, if I'm talking in terms of AWS, but in general, right, if you're using, right, as enterprise hub.docker.com, obviously you will be assigned with your, right, SAML user, or, right, a federated user, and you have to use that, right, username password to, right, get authenticated to do it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm removing basically first I will have to remove what container, and then I have to remove. So it says error response from daemon, you cannot remove a running container there. So obviously this is what we have to stop first.
Stop.
So स्टॉप करते हैं, एक कंटेनर तो हट गया बट एक नहीं वो हटा, अभी उसको भी हम हटा देते हैं, राइट। अब ये भी हट गया। अब RMI करते हैं और सारे images को भी हटा देते हैं। So now we are in clean state, we do not have anything. So now if we try to pull my image which is not locally present, right, it will try to connect to what Docker Hub and bring it, right. So now this is right, Docker image is empty, and Docker ps minus a, which is also right, empty. So we are good. Now we can do what? Docker run, or Docker pull, whatever command you want to run, right. Docker run minus it minus d, and then right we can use our image name, that is what, debug 2717 slash debugs dash Apache. Now it is not present locally in my Ubuntu AWS instance. Now it is there in Docker Hub, and when I am running, obviously it will try to find it locally. If it doesn't find it, it will go to Docker Hub registry and try to look for this particular image. And if it finds that image, it will pull it and execute it and create a running container.
Deepak, what is that minus D option?
Running in a background mode. Okay, so it will, your container would be in a running state, right, up state. Okay, now if I do Docker ps minus a, we had discussed this flag, Vishal, earlier, right, minus d flag in our, right?
Yes.
Okay, now it is an up state, and we see this is running. Now we can get inside this container to check whether Apache is there or not. So ps in this way, right, service state service Apache to status. So it is not running state. So now we can run it. Since Apache is installed, we have that image that we created, in which we have installed Apache. That image was used to create this container. Now I can start it and use Apache anytime, when I want to use this service. So in this way, I had created an image with certain service in it. So it is now in a running state. Okay, so this is what we have today, and I will not go ahead. I'm really not in a state, to take for the session. So I wish everyone, I will upload this video today. So do this all Docker labs, and don't restrict yourself to the labs that I have given you. Try to expand it, so basically I would say take some example what we have used for the stateless application, in which yesterday we used compose with Redis. Try to use some stateful example also related to MySQL, and try to understand how you can use, because MySQL is somewhere needs some data to be inserted. So how basically you will do that? You have to keep your image light also, and at the time of deployment you have to insert tables inside it also. So there are various thing that you have to add further above this. You have certain, I would say, a base which is created, over which now it is about doing lot of labs, identify labs and do lot of exercises related to Docker file, related, play around, creating container, install something, try to Dockerize certain stuff that you do manually, try to automate certain things that you generally use on your day-to-day basis in organization, and use a container approach to use that environment. In that way slowly you will move ahead, and you have much more confident that you have right now, that I would say. Okay, Sonia, I will share you, I just thought of, so I will share those
Yeah, sure.
materials related to that.
Yeah, sure. No
That is
issue.
in my mind, but I somehow forgot it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, sure.
Okay, then any last questions? Anything right before I close the session? ठीक है, lab करो, right, complete करो, and right, if you have any challenge or you're trying something, right, if you have any question, do ask me, right, in further sessions also, right.
दीपक,
Related to yeah,
आपने कुछ दिन पहले बोला था कि एक यूट्यूब का चैनल है शेयर स्क्रिप्टिंग के लिए और उसके बाद में एक रिवर्स प्रॉक्सी के लिए भी, तो बता सकते हो क्या कौन सा है वो?
मतलब यूनिक्स के लिए मैंने कोई चैनल नहीं बोला था, मैंने
रिवर्स
बोला था
प्रॉक्सी के लिए बोला था क्या?
हाँ, रिवर्स प्रॉक्सी के लिए आपको बहुत सारे ऐसे राइट मटेरियल मिल जाएंगे। रिवर्स प्रॉक्सी के लिए डॉक्यूमेंट यूज करो, आई वुड नेवर सजेस्ट, राइट। आप जैसे एनजिन्स उठाओ, राइट, एनजिन्स को पढ़ो, एनजिन्स में रिवर्स प्रॉक्सी कॉन्फ़िगरेशन कैसे करते हैं, पहले वहां से स्टार्ट करो, राइट, विच इज वेरी पॉपुलर। देन डू द सेम थिंग इन अपाचे 2, राइट, और यूजिंग एचटीटीपीडी। तो ये साइट्स अवेलेबल डॉट कॉन फाइल क्या है, पोर्ट्स डॉट कॉन क्या है, इसमें रिवर्स प्रॉक्सी कहाँ सेट होता है, httpd.conf में कहाँ राइट कॉन्फ़िगरेशन होता है। तो वो आप पहले स्टडी करो, पहले रिवर्स प्रॉक्सी का कंसेप्ट राइट पढ़ो, ठीक है, उसके बारे में डॉक्यूमेंट्स पढ़ो, देन यू कैन गो थ्रू राइट वीडियोस एंड राइट देयर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन। इन दैट वे यू विल अचीव इट। मैं बोल रहा हूँ राइट, ऐसे वीडियोस बहुत पड़े रहेंगे, बट until unless you will not read yourself and try to understand, those things will also right go from right like a bouncer, right, they will go। तो रिवर्स प्रॉक्सी का कंसेप्ट राउटिंग से रिलेटेड है ना, स्पूफिंग से रिलेटेड है ना, ट्रैफिक इधर से आ रहा है तो उसको उधर भेजना है, वो कहाँ पे होता है। तो कोई ये नहीं बताएगा कि कर्नल में राइट नेट फिल्टर्स यूज होता है, इस तरह की चीजें नहीं बताएगा, वो आपको डॉक्यूमेंट्स में मिलेगा, जो राइट रिवर्स प्रॉक्सी के राइट मीडियम के ब्लॉग्स या कहीं पे ऐसी जगह पे जहाँ पे उसके बारे में बहुत डिटेल्ड में लिखा होगा। तो वो सब चीजें पढ़ो, ठीक है, उसके बाद फिर वीडियो में इम्प्लीमेंटेशन देखो, अगर वो इम्प्लीमेंट करके दिखा रहे हैं, ठीक है।
यस दीपक।
Okay, thank you everyone. Bye.